Are you a healthcare practitioner who wears two hats? One, providing excellent care, while two, also running a business? The competing demands can feel overwhelming at times, leaving you stressed, indecisive, and questioning if you're really living up to your true purpose. What if you could get back in control, feel invigorated about your practice, and find that long-lost sense of career fulfillment? That's exactly what Thriving Practice is here to help you achieve. On this podcast, we'll be your guides, healthcare entrepreneurs and industry experts who have walked the same challenging path. We'll share proven strategies to streamline operations, make confident business decisions, and reignite your passion. From managing staff to marketing to work-life harmony, we cover the insights you need to stop just surviving and start truly thriving. Make sure to subscribe and get ready to transform your practice into the rewarding career you've always envisioned. Welcome to Thriving Practice, where outstanding patient care meets outstanding business success. Today, we have an insightful conversation with Jamey Schrier, a physical therapist and successful business coach who shares his incredible journey from being a burnt-out clinic owner to building a thriving multi-million-dollar business on his own terms. Jamey's story is one that many entrepreneurs and practice owners can relate to. He recounts the initial excitement of running his own physical therapy clinic, only to be overwhelmed by the stress of managing employees and struggling to achieve work-life balance. This strain ultimately took a toll on his marriage and personal life until a fire destroyed his clinic, offering him an unexpected opportunity for a fresh start. But instead of leaving the profession, Jamey made a conscious decision to learn how to build a successful business while being able to treat patients in a way that aligned with his values and lifestyle. Through perseverance and a willingness to learn from his mistakes, he overcame skepticism and grew his business exponentially in 2013, assembling an excellent team by implementing systems that minimized his time in the office. Jamey's success story inspired others to seek his guidance, leading him into a fulfilling coaching career. He founded a coaching business aimed at helping practice owners build multi-million-dollar businesses, but along the way, he faced his own challenges in letting go of patient care and trusting that his clients could thrive without his direct intervention. In our conversation, Jamey reflects on the experiences and the valuable lessons he's learned about the importance of delegation, clear communication, and building a business that extends beyond one's personal involvement. He stresses the need for authenticity in leadership, emotional regulation in decision-making, and the imperative to confront personal barriers in order to achieve true freedom as a business owner. Jamey also shares insights on the role of trust, delegation, and mindset shifts in improving business outcomes, team development, and overall quality of life. He argues that personal growth and improvement benefit everyone and influence all business decisions. I couldn't agree more. Whether you're an entrepreneur, practice owner, or simply someone seeking personal and professional growth, Jamey's wisdom and personal journey offer invaluable lessons. His parting wisdom is to take action now to move towards something that will make your business better. It's sage advice to help avoid the trap of analysis paralysis. So stay tuned for an enlightening and thought-provoking discussion that just may inspire you to take your own business and life to a whole other level. Let's dive in. Jamey, so good to have you on the show. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you, Tracy. Appreciate being here.
It is my pleasure having you here. I'm excited and very interested. I think you and I have very similar philosophies. Before we kind of dive into that, tell us where you are in the world.
I am right outside of Washington, D.C. in Maryland, right in the suburbs.
I used to live in Northern Virginia, so I know that area very, very well.
That could be with no traffic, 20 minutes away, with traffic, an hour and a half.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Or at any random time when nothing is going on and suddenly the whole Beltway comes to a grinding halt.
Basically, nowadays, it's every hour on the hour. Crossing the Potomac, you might as well say I'm going to another country, because
seriously,
I don't do that often. Yes. Except that the kids need to be driven somewhere. But that's
right. Yeah. And that's like just plan your entire day around it. So yeah, anybody who lives in the DC area, we see you. We
Yes.
feel you. Oh my gosh. So tell us about your company, what you do, and maybe a little bit about like why you work with these people, what drove you to do what you do.
Yeah, so I used to be a practice owner. I just had that desire to want to. I'm in the physical therapy space as an owner, been a PT for a long time. Just always had that desire to just want to do my own thing. Wanted to create my own thing, do it the way I want. Looked at other people and said, no, that's not the way it should be done. So I started out bright-eyed, bushy tail, Dr. Jamey, yay! I had my front desk person who was my wife now, but was my fiance at the time. And we had a blast for about 18 months. I mean, literally the honeymoon period of business. And about 3, 4 years into it, we started hiring and growing. And I made the mistake, Tracy, of thinking everyone thinks like I do. Everyone shows up on time. Everyone stays a little late. Everybody communicates and just does what's needed to be done. And that's not the case with people. So the more I hired, the more stress I got. The more I was like, oh my God, I just started kind of going into my own cocoon of treating because this is not really what I was, trained to do and born to do. And it really started taking a toll. I mean, in all seriousness, it was really, really taking a toll. My relationship with my wife started being affected. We had kids soon after we got married. I wasn't really at home. And I was like, this is not really what I signed up for. I was working, 60 plus hours a week. And then a freak accident happened. Now I look at it as a blessing in disguise. My business burned down.
Literally
My
burnt, like
burned down.
the building. Wow. Okay.
There was an electrical problem in the bathroom with the fan, and whole clinic burned.
Random.
So when that happened, I felt relieved. It was kind of weird, right? I felt
Mm.
like it was almost like a snow day, right? You're from Northern Virginia. We have snow days. There's nothing better than being in school and having a snow day because you don't have to go into school. Well, this was a Sunday, and my wife was like, "What's wrong with you? You seem not like as distraught as you should be." And I was like, "Honey, I don't have to go to work tomorrow." I go, I get to, basically press the pause and reset button. So as I was sitting there in reset for a few months, I contemplated quitting the entire profession, just leaving PT, leaving everything. And I just said, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I just don't know what I'm doing. And that was the first time I ever said really to myself in the mirror that, Jamey, you're a really great clinician. You have no idea really how to build this business of physical therapy. But I bet if you actually put some energy into it, I bet you could learn. So I said, I'm not giving up. Going somewhere else isn't going to be any better because, as the saying goes, wherever you go, there you are. So wherever I went, it would still be me. So I said, you know what? I'm going to learn how to build a business that I love treating, but I didn't really want to treat anymore unless I could do it on my terms. So I said, I want a business that had a team that could operate, that referrals were coming in, great care was being delivered, money was being collected, and Jamey was not in there in the clinic day in and day out. Tracy, everyone said you can't do it. The referral source is going to want you, your staff is going to go against you, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm a slow learner. It took me many years to get to that point, but in 2013, I did. And my business grew almost 20%. I made more money than I've ever made. I had the most amazing team. I'm telling you, I wasn't in the office 4 hours a week because there was nothing for me to do there because I got rid of my office in the office. There was nothing really for me to do. I showed up for staff meetings. I showed up to grab the mail. So I went on a webinar and I just shared my story. And I talked about McDonald's and systems. I had like 3, 4 people reach out to me. That wasn't my intention and said, can you help me? I go, help you do what? Help me do what you did. And I went, I guess. So then next thing you know,
Hold on, let me write some notes down.
I'm in the coaching space.
Amazing.
I'm now sharing with people what I did. Tracy, I fell in love. I said, this is what I was born to do. This is what I've always loved to do. I love teaching. I love helping. I love seeing people. That's what attracted me to patient care and healthcare and all that. So for the last 11 years now, going on 11 years, I've now created and built a coaching business focusing and helping practice owners build $1 million plus scale, $1 million plus businesses using a lot of the things that I've learned in my business, but also so much I've learned since then. So Practice Freedom U is what the name is, and that's what I've been doing.
It sounds like you answered your calling, right? That sometimes I think people in helping professions often find that they sort of woke up one day after multiple requests and they were like, all right, fine, I guess this is what we're doing.
Or a fire.
Or a fire. Well, I mean, yeah, a series of unfortunate or maybe fortunate events, depending on how, where you are in space and time and your perception of it. Can we go back a little bit to like, what did you do in order to get to that place where you were no longer seeing patients or not doing much patient care and not going in? Like, I'm sure this is something that you help your clients with now, but like, can you tell us a couple things that you did to get to that place?
Yeah, great question. That is the $1 million question, or in some cases, multi-million dollar question. I'll give you a few highlights of my thought process, and then I'll relate it to the doing part. One of the biggest problems I faced is, Jamey, nobody can do it as good as you. It really didn't matter what I was doing. Nobody can come close to treating and patient care. Nobody could come close to me engaging with my clients. Nobody could come close of how good I was at taking care of my clients and having them refer tons of people. Nobody could come close of how I answered the phone and connected and built rapport. So the Jamey is the greatest was one of the biggest challenges I faced. And what I started to learn is, you know what, Jamey, you're really damn good at these. And yes, there's a little innate, just kind of who I am, but a lot of it is because I learned it. There was things that I was doing. And then I had to answer the question. This is the question I asked all of my clients, or really all of my prospects of people that I talk to, even before they even become a client, is, are you willing to let go? I don't know what it is you're going to have to let go, but are you willing not to hang on the notion of, well, nobody can do it as well, because that might be true. But the question is, you can't do it all. So if you want a business that's greater than you, if you don't, that's fine. If it's just you, self-employed, you alone with a couple part-time and admin stuff, then you can hang up right now. You don't need to be listening to this conversation. But if you want something more, you need other people to help you. And the other people can't help you unless you're willing to let go and you're willing to guide and support and mentor them. Yeah. Which means, Jamey, you have to have their best interests in mind, not your own, or not just your own. Tracy, that reframe, I like to call things like reframes, but it could be mindset shift or however else you refer it to. That got me on the path of, so what am I doing right now? Because, working 60 plus hours a week, stressed out of my mind. What am I doing right now that, frankly, I don't particularly like doing, that someone else, if properly trained and actually enjoyed that particular task or activity, could do? That was like the biggest question I began to ask that started me down the path of delegating, letting go of things that I was doing that didn't energize me. You and I were talking before this, things that energize you, well, I was initially giving stuff, delegating stuff that didn't energize me. Like, I was answering the phone sometimes. I had a full-time front desk person and I still jumped in to answer the phones. Why? I'm impulsive. I like to jump in. I just do stupid stuff like that. Yes, treating, there's some talented therapists out there. I can only treat so many people. So I started to trust them, but guided them, answering any confusion that they had, being clear on my intentions, being clear on expectations. So I realized another prominent point, besides being honest with myself and are you willing to let go, is, are you being confusing Are you causing confusion in any way? And here's what's interesting, Tracy, around confusion. We have a motto in Practice Freedom Use that says, confused people don't, ... right? Confused people don't. What confused people don't do? Confused people don't take action.
Mm-hmm.
Confused people are not as productive. Confused people are not fully present. Confused people are not creative and innovative. Confused people don't step up. All the things that we want as practice owners, we want from our team, confusion does not allow the very thing that we want. And guess who decides clarity or confusion? The owner.
Mm-hmm.
Because as business owners, when we are clear, we communicate clearly. We act in alignment to our values and to what we say. We match up our actions with what we say. When we are not confused, and you and I can talk all day about how many practice owners out there are just not clear on where are you trying to go? What is your vision? What are the values and the things that you hold dearly? You know, who is your ideal audience? Who are your ideal candidates and people you want working for you? If you're not clear on these things, I'm not saying it's easy, right? That's why people have coaches and people to guide them. But if you're not clear on those things, then your communication to your team is confusing. And that was one of the biggest things that I was doing. I wanted my people to read my mind so bad. I begged them, I know what I want you to do. Can you just read my mind? They're like, Jamey, you have to just tell us what you want. You have to be clear on what you expect. And I wasn't sure. I was all over the place. So they couldn't do their job. So then I blamed them and then they quit. And then I had to justify, because I have a big ego, that they quit because they weren't the right fit. Tracy, I had 25 people come and go in my business in 1 year. 25.
Yeah.
Do you know how big my staff was? 6 people. 4
Wow.
times my staff. Either I had fired them, they quit, or I hired in 1 year. That's when I really started looking in the mirror and say, holy moly, Jamey, maybe it's you.
Yeah. What's the common denominator here? And it's not a blame thing. It's really, because I think, something to point out for our listeners is clarity is the way to get speed. Lack of clarity will slow everything down and it'll cause, great cost, not just money, although turnover like that kind of that churn and burn is expensive. I don't know if you looked at your numbers that year. They probably weren't great.
Oh, you're bringing back old wounds.
I'm sorry. Yes, he's twitching. So
it's expensive. It's
yeah.
Emotionally taxing.
It's so draining. Yeah.
And you know when I felt the worst as I started making this transition? I felt bad for the people that I was acting like this towards, because it wasn't them I was acting towards. It was my own uncomfortableness, my own, like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to do the right thing. I want to be there for you, but I have issues with trust. I have issues with worriness and money, and all of those issues was affecting me from being the real Jamey, the true Jamey, the authentic Jamey. And when I started to move down this path of learning my business, in all honesty, I started learning more just about myself. Yeah. And as I became just more of who I know I was, I didn't become better, so to speak. Like I was always this. It was just covered with a lot of stuff, covered with a lot of maybe people that I mimicked after, emulated, that really wasn't the people in my life or whatever. So that's when things started to open up for me, is when I started to let go and trust and started to delegate some of those things from my plate, and began to lean into being more of the person that I know I could be. It wasn't easy because we have some really deep habits that stay with us. But when you start, another big thing, I started measuring things a lot more. Right? Another motto we have:
data doesn't lie. Matter. Yeah.
Jamey, you're not getting the right results. It's because of how you are thinking and approaching problems and the actions you're taking. That's why you're not getting the results. When you do that better, you get better results. So much of this journey was just Jamey getting better. And I've done this now hundreds of times with other owners. always the same thing. They get better, their business begins to change and improve, their team begins to get better, and their life gets better. Do you know what's interesting about that? Unlike sports, there's no losers with this.
Mm-hmm.
In sports, someone loses. I mean, granted, they're all professional athletes, so they're all getting paid a ton, but the idea is someone loses. When you get better, you will be better for your team. You will be better for your patients. You will be better for your community. All of them will win because you get better. Oh, by the way, you'll also have more income, and you'll also have more time and happiness and enjoyment. Nobody loses, which is one of the biggest challenges that I see when I speak to owners, because it is so ingrained. There are winners and there are losers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come along saying, no, actually, if you want to do it right, everyone wins.
Yeah.
That's a shift that it's hard for people to grasp.
I would imagine that is, okay, there's all kinds of tactics that we can employ to grow our businesses and whatnot, but I would imagine that shift in seeing the world and seeing the path is the thing that changes everything. Mm-hmm. I see it in our clients. Mm-hmm.
Tactics and strategies are nice.
Yes.
They are needed. However, everything that happens in your business will ultimately be filtered by you, no matter what the strategy is.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to so many other practice owners, not practice owners, people that develop like products and courses and SaaS products. And I always ask them, hey, what's the biggest challenge you have? And they always say, our product works. It works every time. And somehow the owner buys the product and somehow doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So they literally mess the thing up, or they don't utilize it to its potential. Then they blame the product for their results. And this is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's when you get better, when you become a better, whatever it's leader, owner, I like to look at it, you're just thinking better. You're thinking more clear. You're more dialed into what's going on in your team and the needs and all that. When you're able to act like that, you can see now the different products or strategies or things because you know how to implement them. You know how to delegate them and get what you want. You know how to communicate clearly. If not, you become so reactive, so emotionally charged. And we all know when emotion is high, intelligence is low. That's what our old amygdala tells us. So when you are highly charged, you're going to make one bad decision after another. And the decision itself that you make will be worse than whatever the original problem is. This is what people are doing every day and every week. And then you're digging yourself out of those problems that you're making. What if you just didn't make those bad decisions to begin with? You would be able to use the unbelievable amount of resources that are available to us out there. More and more and more, AI and you name it. Man, there's so much opportunity out there that we can actually create the business we've always dreamed of and create the life that we want and put the great team in place. We have more opportunity now than we ever have. And it's only going to either improve for some people that see that, or it's going to get really, really dark for a lot of people because it's going to be so much more overwhelming than even the way things are now. As AI comes, as social media even becomes a bigger juggernaut, and not to mention all the stuff that happens in the world that affects us.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think it's refreshing to hear you say some of this. It might be a little depressing for people who are in it right now, but I always recommend to our clients, look, if you're really struggling and this is outside of coaching, therapy is a great answer for a business owner. It's a great answer for everybody, but like really, truly like digging through stuff. If things keep coming up and it's outside of coaching, because I'm really clear that, I am a business coach, not a psychotherapist. I'm an MBA, not a PhD or PSYD. So, and I do that with great intention. And I think it's really important for business owners, which is going to be most of our listeners, to understand that when you own your practice and you are the business owner, there's so much responsibility that comes with that until one reconciles all the blocks and all the stuff that gets in the way of seeing that responsibility as a means to freedom, it's going to be hard. And I don't know if it's a funny joke, but I say this a lot. Like, if you ever wanted to have multiple dark nights of the soul, be a business owner, right? You're welcome. Like, there's your advice for the day, because you're going to have to work on yourself, period.
You'll never be more challenged in anything you do.
Even
Business
parenting,
ownership.
even parenting, I'll say. And I have a 20-year-old and almost 18-year-old. I think having a business has sometimes been harder.
It's well, because you're the parent of who knows how many people working for you. I mean, it's
in a
tough.
way. Yeah, in a way. I think leadership and parenting are very similar. So yeah.
What you said, I think, is spot on. I look at it as, there are three kind of opportunities you have here to help you grow. And we're not talking about tactics or strategies. We're talking about one, as you said, there's therapy, right? There's mental health, there's psychology, there's digging into the past to get some understanding and perspective of it, right? Then there's coaching, business coaching.
Yep.
Now, we as business coaches, because I'm like you, me and my coaches, we have a very clear line: is we're not here to try to fix your past. That's for this therapy. What we're here is to utilize what you've been doing so far and help you focus on the future and where you're going in the future. That's what we're focusing on. So we focus on now to the future, whereas psychologists are going to focus on the past until now. That's the big delineation.
Yep.
And then the third part that, again, so many people do not take advantage of is, who are you hanging around with? Who's influencing you? Who's connecting with you? Who has your ear? So this could be, are you connecting with, mastermind groups? One of the things that we do at Practice Freedom U, aside from that one-on-one coaching, is we have small mastermind, like-minded groups, because you get to hear things, you get to share things, you get to realize you're not alone with all of this. And that seeps into your subconscious, like that thinking. Well, if you're around a bunch of negative naysayers that troll around on the internet, and that's what you're getting, you're not going to be able to help that seeping into how you see people, how you see the world, and how you make decisions. And again, I'm not judging trolls is one thing, but I'm not judging the groups of people themselves. What I am asking is this helping you get what you want? Because this is all about what you want. And if it's not, you have to question it. And you're the one that has control to change it. So those are the three things. Two of them we can help with, right?
Yep.
The coaching, the small groups and all that. One of them, yes. If there's some stuff going on and we all have stuff, then yes, connect. The problem is there's a shortage with that too. I mean, there's a lot, but this is a big part about bettering you. That's it. Just 1% better. Every day, my goal, 1% better. Just to get a little better. That's
and
all.
you get that compound effect, right? It's just like making a small investment in like an IRA that, gets that compound effect over time. And every time we do something to feel or do or show up just a little bit better, it's like a building block, and we can just keep going. And I think it's really important for people to hear this, right? We spend a lot of time talking about strategies and tactics. I spend a lot of time talking about strategies and tactics. And my clients and I spend a lot of time working on strategies and tactics. But without a mindset and understanding the mindset of, look, part of my professional development has to be personal development. And I think as a provider, this is important too, because if you're not okay, even if you're showing up kind of pretending, it has a smell. So even if you've been the best and you've been great, your patients are going to pick up on something, and they won't be able to put their finger on it, but they might, even if they've been really loyal, go try someone else. Yep. So we got to work on ourselves.
Tracy, we don't see the world. We don't see people as they are. We see people as we are.
Yep.
And great saying. I have lots of sayings, but where that really comes in for me is I can't tell you how many owners I work with, and I ask them about their staff, and they say, oh my God, my staff is this, my staff is that, they're great. And I go, well, what would they say about you? Oh my God, I do everything for them. And then of course I ask the staff, and it's not even close
Mhm.
because we see out of our own lens.
Yeah.
We see what we want to see. We're all biased
Hmm.
and prejudiced. We all are. And it's hard to recognize that. So by applying strategies or tactics with that perspective, you're going to make the same mistakes. You can't not make the mistakes. So by changing how you see things, by maybe cleaning up your filter, your lens, you start to see very different things. You start to see different opportunities. You start to see how you can apply the same particular strategy, whether it's hiring, whatever it is. Let's say it's hiring. Hiring, you can purchase a course, any
Yeah.
course out there on hiring. Yet, how many people still hire not the right people?
Yeah.
Because they're seeing what they want to see. They're not seeing someone else saying, why would you hire that person? This is a red flag. This is a red flag. This is a red flag.
Yeah.
So you can get a better hiring course or hiring strategy, but it will never overcome the person that's actually putting that in place. And that's why there's a combination of how we are thinking, how are we seeing things, how we are problem solving, how we question stuff, and then the strategy that goes along with it. You need both,
Hmm.
but there's too much of one and not enough of the other.
Do you work primarily with physical therapists in your company or all practice owners?
Yeah, practice owners, allied health, yeah.
Gotcha. So I'm thinking like this is so important, right? And it's
Yes.
so useful. So I'm curious, what if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, one, where would they come to you to learn the most? And two, what would you recommend they do first as a first step?
Yeah, great question. So the idea, first of all, with someone is to recognize where they are. And what I've done is I created something called a practice quiz, and you can go. We'll put the link there. You can find it on my website, or you can find it in the show notes. And the practice quiz it's 5 minutes. It's actually kind of fun. The questions I ask forced you to think about an area of your business. Most of us haven't thought about our business like this. So there's 7 areas, right? One of them would be marketing, another would be leadership, systems, hiring, profitability, financials, and all that. And you answer the questions the best you can subjectively. Based on your answers, you then get information around where you are in your business, the challenges that you're facing or will be facing, and then we focus on the solutions to those. So that's the first step. If you don't know where you are, then you're going to be guessing at what you think you need. So the first step is take 5 minutes, take the practice quiz. And once you have the practice quiz, you're going to get information about where you are. Trust me, it's going to resonate with you because that's how this is designed. And then the next step is have a conversation to learn more about what specifically you should be doing now, and more important, what you should not be focusing on now, because we all are busy. So we can't put a ton on our plate. That would be the first step. Take the quiz, go from there. And Yeah, just look, there's a lot to all this. You and I can talk all day long. The hardest part is we're already overwhelmed. We're
Mhm.
already busy. We already walk around telling everyone how busy we are. Busy is not going to get you where you want to go. So
Yeah.
take some baby steps. Start with getting clear about what you're actually busy about and start to move towards reducing some of those things on your plate. Start with one that you don't like. Start with
Mhm.
the easy stuff that you don't like that someone else does. Because there's one thing that is non-renewable, non-refundable, non-transferable, and that's time. So if you don't have time, it doesn't matter how great the idea is, you don't have time to do it anyways. So we have to protect our time, then we can take things and put it in place. So I'd start with the practice quiz first, and then start learning about how to start moving forward, depending on where you are in your business, because different solutions are for different people depending on what level they're at.
Very good. You may have already sort of answered this question, but in case you have something else in mind, if you were to give one piece of advice for a practice owner, what would that be?
Take action right now, before the end of the year, before the holiday excuse. Take action right now. Take the next step forward to start moving towards something that's going to better your business. If it's take action for the practice quiz, then take 5 minutes and do it. I promise you, you will take that quiz and something will spark in your head. I promise you. And then see where that leads. The hardest part, because we are high achievers, we're very smart with a lot of credentials and a lot of education, we love to learn. Learning is dangerous because you can fall in love with learning for the sake of learning. For me, I rather know less and actually just apply it versus know more and just walk around just telling people how much I know.
That's a good one. I'm processing that. Right? Highly credentialed individuals, I think a little bit are like growth junkies, right? So it's something to really consider. Sage advice. Jamey, thank you so much for coming on the show. So appreciate it.
You're so welcome, Tracy. Thank you so much.
A huge thank you to Jamey for sharing such invaluable expertise with us today. His insights on taking decisive action and delegation will no doubt make a lasting impact on you and your team. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you leave a review so more practice owners like you can learn from myself and our incredible guests. Be sure to subscribe so you can listen for more expert tips and strategies to help you grow your practice without burnout. If you'd like to be part of a growing community of practice for provider owners like you, join us at one of our upcoming meet and greet events. Go to thrivingpracticecommunity.com and click on schedule a call to learn more. Thanks for listening. And until next time, take care.